I also feel that if you want to have a separate category, have a trans category, or have trans women compete against men, which is their biology. Isn't that the scientific way to resolve this?
I don't have a solution. What I started this section of the conversation by saying that how you handle trans athletes is a frontier in sports that does not yet have a full solution.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? We have Neil deGrasse Tyson, and in what is becoming an infamous interview with Piers Morgan after, of course, the infamous interview with Bill Maher. Piers Morgan is going to take Neil deGrasse Tyson to task for that interview and some of the things that he said. And it's going to be wonderful to watch Neil deGrasse Tyson squirm under scrutiny. I have no love for Neil deGrasse Tyson. As far as I'm concerned, he's DEI's substitute teacher. He has absolutely no legacy of his own. He's done absolutely nothing but ride the legacy of Carl Sagan into a position of influence and then use that influence to destroy the work of a much more accredited and talented astronomer. But then again, that's how the left works, and Neil deGrasse Tyson is a perfect denizen of the left. So let's get on with this and watch Piers Morgan destroy Neil deGrasse Tyson on his insane take on transports. Oh, hey, and if you like this and all the other stuff I do, please hit that subscribe button. I really want to make 500 by Christmas time, so take that a little bit of time and hit that button for me. Thanks.
This brings me neatly, actually, to another part of that Bill Maher interview, which I really enjoyed. Love watching you on Bill Maher. But you had a little disagreement about this very hot potato issue about the science of trans athletes in women's sport. Let's take a look.
Engage with the idea here. What I'm asking is, Scientific American is saying basically that the reason why an WNBA team can't beat the Lakers is because of societal bias.
What you're saying is not Scientific American says that. An editor for Scientific American says that, who no longer has the job. So don't...
Okay, editors are hired to be the voice of the magazine. Okay, they are the ones that direct where or how the magazine presents itself. So therefore, okay, Scientific American did say that because an editor who worked for that magazine did present that. Okay, that's why she was fired. All right, he is going to go on now about how a 170-year-old magazine shouldn't be denigrated because of this, and yes, it should. A 170-year-old magazine hired this person, and this person made an opinion that basically most of everybody does not agree with, and everyone in the scientific community doesn't agree with.
Indict a 170-year-old magazine because somebody...
Okay, this is called Scientific American, and they're printing something
because someone enters the cesspool that is social media and then participates in that exchange.
Neil deGrasse Tyson has lived within that cesspool of social media, so now all of a sudden he wants to denigrate it to make his point. This guy is absolutely pathetic.
So
why can't you
let's
just
talk about science?
Why can't you just say this is not scientific and Scientific American should do better?
So I have been on this issue for a long time, and I am surprised, given your earlier statement just now about the importance that we have a fact-based society where science is based on reality and everything else. Is there not? I would put it to you, Neil. There is a cold, hard reality about this whole trans issue, which is that I'm sure...
Now, hold on. Throughout this interview, I want you to watch Neil deGrasse Tyson, okay? He is trembling, all right? He is trembling not because he's in front of the camera. This man knows how to be in front of the camera, okay? This man busts through Meghan Markle to get in front of as many cameras as he possibly can, okay? He's not nervous. All right, because of the camera in front of him. He is nervous because he made a stupid-ass statement in front of Bill Maher, and now Piers Morgan is going to take him to task for it and destroy him for it, and he is almost incapable of being able to work his way out of the hole that he's dug for himself. It's beautiful.
Like you, I absolutely want all trans people to have utter equality and fairness in the way that I do and you do. Absolutely. I've never said anything different. However, not to the point where it erodes women's rights to fairness and equality. And there is clearly a growing unfairness and inequality from the issue of people who are born biologically male, identifying as women, and being allowed to compete against biological females, and then beginning increasingly to be quite dominant, to the extent where we saw people winning in the boxing in the Paris Olympics. We've seen the Footballer of the Year, Women's Footballer of the Year in the UK, voted by the BBC, Barbara Banda from Zambia, also has been banned for sex-related issues in terms of not being allowed to compete in previous tournaments.
Now, this is why Piers Morgan drives me absolutely insane, because he is a creature of the left as well. He just presents himself as having a little bit more common sense than your typical leftist. But the problem is that he can't separate himself from it and actually go for the actual truth. Okay? They have not been allowed to participate because they are men. That is the point. But even Piers can't really bring himself to say it.
And so on and so on. The UN just had a big report which said that 900 medals around the world in competitive sport had been deprived from female athletes because trans athletes had won. So I put it to you that you're a scientist. It is clearly an indisputable scientific fact that biological males have a superior power and stamina and lung power and all these other things to biological females, because if they didn't, we would never separate the sexes in sport. The Olympics would be gender neutral. And they're not for a reason. Women wouldn't win anything. So when I hear you try and justify it or say that there's a scientific, and maybe there's not, maybe I'm misquoting you here, but there's some kind of scientific reason why it's fine, I'm like, hang on, Neil, you're Mr. Reality Check. You're Mr. Cold Hard Fact. Surely you can see that this is wrong.
If he is, we are truly fucked.
Without it actually having to be transphobic to say that.
Well, so you have me here live on your show. We don't have to comment on other shows. So let's just have this.
He can't comment on other shows, because if he does comment on other shows, he's going to dig himself even deeper into the hole he dug himself into in that Bill Maher show.
Conversation.
Yeah.
So I did my own study of the relative speed of men
I wouldn't trust a study that you did on snack crackers, pal.
Men relative to women in Olympic sports, the world records, from the 100 meters to the 200 meters, the 400, right on up to the marathon. And what I noticed is in every event, on average, men were 10% faster than women. 10% faster. And in events that require strength, that percent was even higher. I forgot what my exact number, it might have been 50% stronger, okay? So across the board.
He knows what these exact numbers are. He does know what these exact percentages is. He's fumbling around right now because he's trying to present it in the best light possible.
That is the case. So that's not, there's no dispute there. That's
right.
Just objective truth. So now we have to ask, why do we watch sports at all? Okay? And at Friday Night Lights, that's in the United States, that's high school football. Saturday, it's college football. Sunday, it's the NFL. Do you realize, of course, that the worst team ever in the NFL could wipe its ass with the best team ever in college?
There's a few 1970s vintage Tampa Bay Buccaneers teams that I would question that on. And honestly, years ago, they used to have the top college team play an NFL team. And yeah, the NFL always won because it is a faster and more physical game. It's also a different game. So the college guys are starting off at a disadvantage as well. But your best actual NFL team is going to have a lot of experience. And that's also something that you can't compensate for as far as the college is concerned. But if you continue on with this, he is going to be making a counter argument against his argument. And it's because he doesn't know how to dig himself out of the hole he's in.
Why? Because every single player in the NFL was the best person in their college. And so there's no contest between these zones of athletic engagement. But we still like watching college. We don't watch college saying, the Philadelphia Eagles could whip their ass, so let's not watch it. No, we like the equality of the contest and not knowing who would win. That's what makes sports fun. Okay, so if there's a wave of trans women who dominate the sport against other women, all those sports will become less interesting based on how we all watch sports. Even the Super Bowl here in the United States, if it's a blowout by halftime, nobody watches the second half.
Right.
Everybody watches the second half of the commercials, okay? Please, stop making blanket statements like this.
We watch it for the equality of the contest. Okay, so
Sounds like you agree
all
with
I'm
me then.
saying is, like you said, wait, I'm almost done. So what I see is
Neil deGrasse Tyson is from the Barack Obama school of rhetoric. What he's doing is he's putting together a word salad to basically eat up as much time as possible, so therefore it'll be much more difficult to actually put him on a point. As I said, Barack Obama made this absolutely famous.
sports is on the frontier of how to handle this frontier of people who are trans. It's on the frontier of how to resolve that. And I'm
Okay, this issue is not on a frontier of science, okay? The cure for cancer is on the frontier for science. Faster than light travel is on a frontier of science, all right? This is not a frontier. It is a social and political movement, all right? That is the difference between this. And again, he's just hedging his words.
making this up now. Imagine the future of sports does not distinguish sex. It distinguishes and sorts people by hormone ratios. I'm making this.
Which is absolutely and utterly insane if you stop to think about it, okay? You can have hormone levels, and if a 5-foot woman is being injected with hormones, she could possibly have the same hormone level as a 6'2" man. So what's happening at that point in time is that's going to be a hell of a wrestling match. It's just insanity. He's doing everything he can, again, to dig himself out of the hole he's been put in, because he knows if he gets to the actual scientific point, he will be buried, and he will not be the darling of the left that he has been for the past, 20 years almost? It's terrible.
But imagine that, if that were the case. That would be interesting. You get a hormone test, you're in this range, and then you compete against other people with the same range of
That's
hormones.
ridiculous.
That's
Neil, that is ridiculous.
No, it's not.
Thank you very much, Piers. I mean, seriously, it's funny to watch him actually destroy him on this, because again, all right, this is an insane take. It's not logical. It is not logical at all, and the whole hormone thing is just beautiful.
I'll tell you why it's
You're
not
going to give
ridiculous.
every
Hold on.
single
I used to
person in
wrestle.
sport a hormone test.
Hold on. I used to wrestle. And wrestling, there are people who weigh, sorry, am I using pounds here, 125 pounds.
Okay, you can use pounds. Okay, it's fine. All right, you're an American. You can use pounds.
Right on up to 240 pounds. They don't wrestle each other. The entire sport separates people so that the contest is interesting.
Yeah.
And
The difference that you're doing, okay, and what you're doing is, I guess, again, I've said this previously, you're making the opposite point than the point that you are actually trying to make, okay? When you start off with men and women in a sport, you're basically starting off with 240-pound man against a 120-pound man, all right? They know that the two guys are not going to be able to compete with one another because of the greatness of the disparate weight. All right, and the strength that comes with that disparate weight. This is the entire argument against men in women's sports. Okay, biologically, trans women are men and therefore are stronger, faster, and have more endurance than women, and shouldn't be competing against women. We like sports because people, in some cases of equal talent, compete against each other to see who is actually better. And that's what we enjoy. Okay, but when you inject a person who is naturally going to be better, that upsets the scales. They're going to go into juicing at some point in time within this conversation, and it's exactly the same thing.
so the people of the same weight wrestle each other, and that is the contest.
But if Floyd
So
Mayweather...
I don't know
Yeah,
if
but
that's how it will land.
Hang on, Neil. If Floyd Mayweather fought a woman boxer, a female woman boxer, who was the same weight division, he would annihilate her. That's why we don't let it happen. And in fact, in the Paris Olympics, the winner of one of the women's boxing competitions one of the
Piers,
females
that's not
who
what I was
took her
talking
on.
about.
But yeah, but my point is that I just think that, if you don't mind me saying, I say this respectfully because I love you, but it just seems to me like you've dug yourself into a slight hole on this issue, and you're trying to get out of it. And now you're suggesting slightly madcap theories, whereas the
Neil deGrasse Tyson is used to being carried through interviews, okay? He is a darling of the left. I've said this, all right? So he's used to being carried and basically cajoled through interviews. Oh, Neil deGrasse, you're so wonderful. You're so intelligent. Well, guess what? He's not, okay? He really isn't. And you can tell by the fumbling prick that he is right now.
science to me is obvious. You've already given the best argument I've heard for why we separate the sexes.
Hold on. You misquoted me in this very interview. What I said was the idea of creating categories within a sport, splitting them in the example I gave, which I just made it up, like hormone ratios, is not fundamentally weird compared to dividing wrestlers by weight.
No, it is.
It is. It's absolutely and utterly is. It is weird. Absolutely and utterly weird. And again, you're just trying to fumble through.
The reason why you
I'm
do
going to
this
respond.
is to make an interesting contest.
No, Neil, you're wrong.
And so you said Floyd Mayweather fight. Hold on. Hold on.
You're
you
wrong.
Said Floyd Mayweather.
You're not
fighting
allowing for the superior male biology when it comes to lung capacity, stamina, to body mass, to muscle mass, all those things. If you just take one criteria of hormones, you're not allowing all that. I'll give an example. Caitlyn Jenner, who obviously... hang on. I'm going to finish my point. Let me finish my point. Caitlyn Jenner was an Olympic male decathlon gold medal winner. Caitlyn is a big golf fan. And when she started playing golf after she transitioned, she was allowed to play off the women's tees, which are 50 yards further than the men's tees. And she quickly realized that she was still smashing it 300 yards down, and obviously was then beating all the women that she played. So she now plays back off the male tees because her biology is that of a man. And I feel that that was the most honest way to deal with it. I also feel that if you want to have a separate category...
He can't handle himself right now. Look at Neil deGrasse Tyson fumble with this earpiece. He cannot handle himself, okay? He has made one of the stupidest comments known, and he knows it. Look at his eyes right now. He knows it. He is caught, and he can't get himself out of it.
Have a trans category. Or have trans women compete against men, which is their biology. Isn't that the scientific way to resolve this?
I don't have a solution. What I started this section of the conversation by saying that how you handle trans athletes is a frontier in sports that does not yet have a full solution. And I made up an...
It already had a solution. The solution got blown out of the water by politics and societal pressure.
Example, like maybe you could divide people by hormones. I don't know if that would work physiologically, but at the end of the day, we watch sporting events because they are competitively interesting. And so something's going to have to get resolved there, and I don't have that solution.
I do.
I just tossed up hormones.
You have a trans category, or you have the trans women compete against biological men, which is what they are. And I completely respect trans rights.
That may be, that may be how it settles, but I don't know. But I'm telling you, it's a frontier without a current solution that everybody agrees to. That's all I'm telling you. And I started this by affirming, yes, men are faster and stronger than the average man is stronger and faster. World-class men are faster and stronger than world-class.
He can't do it. He just can't do it.
Women. Obviously, there's huge overlap when you come down the rest of the distribution.
The truth is, if you had a gender-neutral Olympics, how many women, biological female women, would win gold medals if it was open to men and women? The answer is literally like they might win one or two.
You're trying to stay above it because you know that if you make the actual scientific answer, you will lose your status. Okay? That is exactly what's going on, you fumbling prick.
I'm trying to stay above. You're creating this world that makes great clickbait. And
No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm
for
not.
people
No,
to
no.
see commented
No,
on.
no. I honestly,
Yes,
I'm
yes, it is.
I'm throwing back at you the thing you throw back at other people, which is science. I'm telling you that it's the scientific reality, unless you say otherwise, and I don't think you do, because you've already explained that men have a superior
I'm not
speed
saying
of power.
otherwise. I started this.
The science is clear
I
to me.
started this by saying it.
But the science is clear, isn't it?
And I'm saying the solution isn't clear, even if the science is. And so that's all. We can debate what could work. I think the world has to figure it out, and maybe they'll figure it out one day. And maybe it is hormone ratios. I don't know. But if it is hormone ratios and we don't compete sexes, we compete by hormones, that's a whole other interesting future of athletics. By the way, every Olympics, I pause and think to myself, which of these events can and should not be separated by sex?
Which
there
ones?
are some already
Which
that
ones?
are the case. And the equestrian. The equestrian does not separate men from
Equestrian
women.
and shooting, I think, also is another one where if they're sitting and shooting, there's no
That
reason.
I didn't know. Yeah. So I just figured there's some that would be the case. We can start there and just work our way up. So yeah, it's a frontier. People are thinking about it. Top people are thinking about it, and I'm not going
Top people.
to be the one who will have that solution.
Fair enough.
But at the end, I know when you're watching sports, you want to watch people who have equivalent talent compete. Otherwise, it's not interesting.
Well, you want it to be fair
know
and
this.
equal. That's why when there was the...
Advertisers know this.
Yeah, but it's when you have the doping scandal in, say, cycling, because people are using drugs to cheat, it gives them an advantage. It's just wrong, because it removes the basic premise of sport that you and I would love, which is it has to be fair and equal. And the moment you lose that...
Unless you just allowed everyone to dope, then it would be fair and equal again.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot of ways that can slice. Yeah.
Okay, so he's basically showing his ignorance of certain, basically, venues of science because, no, that would not make anyone equal. It would just mean that the guys with larger capacity for musculature would do better than the guys who didn't. And, again, it wouldn't be equal at that point.
You know what? In cycling, that's pretty much
Yeah.
what happened. I think I interviewed a guy once when I was at CNN who had been like number 42 in the world in cycling, and it turned out he may have been the best cyclist in the world because the other 41 were all cheats.
Well, that has been Piers Morgan Destroys DeGrasse Tyson on his insane take on transports. And honestly, folks, again, if you've sat through this, the length of this video, you know exactly how I feel about Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is absolutely useless and as absolutely nothing but a figurehead put forth by the left. And it basically for nothing more than his color. And that's basically it. Thank you all very much for joining me today. Hit those comments, please. Like, share. Do hit that subscribe button again, because, like I said, it's Christmas. I'd like to be up at 500. So, again, have a great day, everybody. Later.